Good morning, everyone. Aloha, and welcome back to our Pacific Islander Talk Story. My name is Shanti Asher. I am the Pacific Islander Liaison at the Office of Economic Revitalization, City and County of Honolulu. It's great to have all of you here with us again as we continue on the topics that we would like to share with you all. Today, we are very fortunate to have the Legal Clinic's attorney here with us to talk about the Compact of Free Association, especially in the area of dual citizenship, and maybe some brief discussion or information on legal permanent residence. There has been changes, as you all may be aware, within the FSM and the subject of dual citizenship. And therefore, we felt it necessary to start those conversations and ask some of the people that are on the ground doing work and understanding what the process is like and share with you some of their tips or just information about dual citizenship. So today, again, we're fortunate to have our beautiful Narabelle with us, the attorney for the legal clinic, to share with us some information that we all should be aware of. I will go ahead and hand this over to Narabelle to introduce herself and some of the work TLC has been doing in our community. Narabelle, take it away. Thank you so much.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation and for the partnership. And, it's an honor working together with Shanti and, her office and also serving the immigrant and non-immigrant community and also the COFA community. That's one community that we really want to serve and we really want to empower because they play an important role in this nation. So I really appreciate you guys, and let's talk about a little bit about who is this lady who is sitting in front of you, and not about me. It's about the legal clinic. As Shanti said, I am an attorney. I've been an attorney for a long time, and I've been doing immigration, serving this beautiful state of Hawaii. And now I have the opportunity to serve with the legal clinic. The Legal Clinic, it's a nonprofit organization that was born out of the initiative of people who are immigrants and or who have immigrant ancestors, and they had a very deep concern about getting information there, and more than that, to be able to provide free legal representation for people who cannot afford. So that's how TLC, Tender Loving Care, the legal clinic, started around 6 or 7 years ago. And now we are a nonprofit organization, and we serve the community for those who cannot pay. So our services, and maybe we can skip to, it was the later part of the presentation, but if I may ask, if we can go to, the appropriate slide, maybe it's going to be like the third bottom up. So that way we can present what the legal clinic is doing. And as we said, our mission is to start to provide free legal services in immigration. We also do a portion of, maybe we can go to slide number 9. And we also provide education, and we do advocacy for the immigrant community. So our services are free, confidential, compassionate, and accessible. There are 3 requirements. One is to be a Hawaii resident, number 1. Number 2, you need to fall under the 200% poverty guidelines, but those are adjusted to Hawaii, so a lot of people will qualify. And we need to have the capacity because we're a small nonprofit organization. And right now we are focusing on providing information, but more importantly, to provide legal representation for those who are facing removal proceedings before the immigration court. meaning that they are at risk of being deported to their nations of origin. And you just can give us a call and we can take care of you. Maybe we can go to slide number 10 so you have an idea of, you know, who the legal team is. We have beautiful Megan. She is an accredited representative. She is the tallest one of us there on the left of your screen. She is a partly accredited representative. That means that she can represent clients before the USCIS, that's the immigration agency. Then, you know, that's me. Then in the middle, we have our legal assistant, Viri. She also speaks Spanish because there's a huge community of Spanish speakers that we serve. Then in deep, Hunter Green, it's Nanor Wong. She is our staff attorney. And then we have Josh Abeda, and she is the Maui Fellow, meaning that he is focusing on those who are victims of the fires in Maui. And we can start with our presentation. Today, we can go to slide number 2. And we today are going to talk about, we're going to learn a little bit more about the COFA, meaning the Compact of Free Association, its relevance in the community. We are going to understand some general concepts on citizenship and legal permanent residence. And we are going to talk about pathways on obtaining dual citizenship and what does that mean and what is needed to be able to get that. So that being said, let's start with some explanations and let's go to basics, because if we don't know the basics, then we're going to get lost, and that is not our target at all. So let's talk about different categories in immigration that affect people's rights and obligations. And this is not meant to be a course, but just to give a general idea of the important terms, the terminology, and then we can talk about the pathways to the citizenship, because that's the end of the immigration process, and for those who choose to do that. So first of all, we have the citizens. Citizens are those who have all the rights, but also all the obligations with the United States, meaning that the U.S. citizens are covered by all the rights, including those who are, there are certain rights that are only for U.S. citizens, like, for example, voting on a federal election. Only U.S. citizens can do that. Only U.S. citizens can run for office. So those rights are for citizens. And some obligations is that the citizens need to, well, everybody needs to pay taxes, but they also are, they need to abide to those obligations. Then we have another category, and those are the U.S. nationals. I need to explain certain things because some of these terminology are directly related. These are legal terms, and some of them are directly related to the political relationship between certain nations and the U.S. So when we talk about different nations that have a relationship with the U.S., we're talking about certain nations that are territories. I am from Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is one of those territories. However, not all territories are equal, and not all, and the territories are, the relationship and the status of their citizens are not the same as U.S. citizens. I am not gonna dive like too deeply into that, but I just want to give you a general idea of what a U.S. national is. And in order for me to do that, I need to explain and I need to go over the territories. So we've heard about American Samoa, we've heard about Puerto Rico, we've heard about Guam, and we've heard about the U.S. Virgin Islands. Those are territories. However, Puerto Rico, Guam, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, we get the U.S. citizenship, the U.S. citizenship by birth, and that is because of a law. And then we have American Samoa. American Samoans are not born as U.S. citizens. They are considered U.S. nationals. So that means that it's kind of an in-between, and I will explain what those rights and those obligations are. We also have people from the Swain Islands and some people, and this is very technical, from the Northern Mariana Islands. Those are the U.S. nationals. Then we have the LPRs. It's the lawful permanent residents. Green card holders, you know, let's use like very common terms. So green card holders are lawful permanent residents, meaning that they can permanently reside lawfully in the US. Then we have COFA, and we're going to talk about COFA on a different topic. And then we have people that are visa holders. They're non-immigrants, tourists, students, people who are not authorized to permanently reside in the United States, but who are authorized temporarily and under certain conditions in the US. That's a lot. Let's take a breath. And then we can jump to the other slide and we can talk about COFA. What is COFA? Well, as I said, COFA stands for the Compact of Free Association. And just as a background, we have 3 nations that are part of the COFA. One is the Republic of the Marshall Islands, RMI. We have the Federated States of Micronesia, FSM, and we have Palau. However, FSM and RMI entered into this special relationship with the United States in 1986, Palau in 1994. So what does that mean? What is that compact? Well, what happened was that those nations were territories, and then they were recognized by the United States as independent nations. And then this special agreement was established. Basically, this special agreement, in the pertinent part for today, recognize that these the citizens of these nations can travel to and from the US without a visa, can work in the United States, and can and are eligible for certain public benefits. Usually, in order for people to come to the US, they need a visa. COFA members don't need it. Usually, people who are visiting the US cannot work, but COFA can work. And then public benefits are only reserved for certain LPRs, lawful permanent residents, or green card holders, or citizens. However, COFA can and is eligible for certain public benefits. Let's take another breath. And now, let's talk about the citizenship with FSM. You are a citizen of a nation, of any nation, because you were born there by birth. So, interesting enough, Puerto Rico does not have its own citizenship, but that's another topic. So I cannot say that I am a citizen of Puerto Rico. I am a citizen of the United States by birth, but any other nation, they will be U.S. citizens by I'm sorry, citizens of that nation by birth. So the citizens of FSM are citizens of FSM by birth. Another important thing about the citizenship is that it can be renounced. Anybody, anywhere in the world can renounce to their citizenship. But before the executive order was approved regarding dual citizenship, this slide is for before, if the person renounced the citizenship, they didn't have the option to get it back. And if they renounce to it, then it will not pass down to the children. Basically, it was one or the other. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So now what is different with the executive order? So it is important for us to know that we are talking about Executive Order 23-07 that was approved by FSM. And that executive order allows now to have dual citizenship. So now, if you get the US citizenship, that does not mean that you're renouncing the FSM citizenship. That's number one. Number two, if you renounce it, you can get it back. The other important thing is that it will pass down to the children, even if the parents renounce it or the parent renounce it. Those US children can get it just by applying for a passport. And then I will explain a little bit more about it, but I just wanted to put it out there. So that means that you and your children can have both. That's beautiful. Having dual citizenship, being able to retain your identity, your citizenship, and all the rights and that go with the citizenship, and also having the US citizenship. We can go to the next slide. And now, this is the homework. For anybody that wants to have or regain the FSM citizenship, here it is. So the former FSM citizen who renounced their citizenship in the past, they may regain it through naturalization in accordance with existing procedures. It is not the intent of this section or this webinar to explain exactly how to do it, because that will depend on the nation. However, you can do naturalization and then get it back. For the children of those who renounce, or those children, because usually what happens is that a COFA, a person from COFA will come to the US because they can come and go. They'll come to the US and their children will be born here. So the children will be US citizens by birth. And then, like I said before, they would lose, they will not have an option to have the FSM citizenship. However, because of this executive order, now they have the chance to say, hey, I am the child. Even though I was born in the US, I am a child of somebody from FSM. I have the rights to have dual citizenship. This is what we're talking about. How would a child do that? Number one, what they need to do is simply apply for a passport from FSM. So in order to apply for a passport, you will have to, that person will have to show a birth certificate showing FSM parental lineage, meaning that the parents were born in FSM. Or they need to present a previously issued FSM passport or a court order declaring the applicant as an FSM citizen. Simplest way, apply for a passport. Let's go to the next slide so that way we can see. Let's skip that one, sorry. Oh no. Okay, I am all mixed up. Can we go to the previous one? I just need to see my notes. We're gonna be on the chat, we're gonna be including some of the links that and the phone number where you can apply for the passport from the FSM. And it is here. So you can go to the acting chief of immigration at the Department of Justice, Mr. Abiner Hatley, and there's an email, and you can call the passport hotline number, or you can just log into a website and apply for it. We can include that later on the chat, so that way, you know, the resources are out there. Now that we know that we can get the dual citizenship, okay, but now I know how to go with the citizenship for FSM. But what about the US citizenship? Well, that topic is going to be covered in our next session. However, today I just want to give you a preview on the different steps and let's call it phases to become a US citizen. Somebody who is from another nation, any other nation in the world, cannot just come to the US and say, hey, I want to be a US citizen. Okay, that's fine, but there is a pathway, right? So COFA, it's different, like I was explaining, because of that agreement between, special agreement between the US and the COFA nations, meaning that they will not need a visa. People who are required to have a visa, that's another pathway. There's another process. However, we're going to only focus today on COFA nations. So the COFA community will not have a visa. You will have your passport, you will have your I-94, which allows you to work also. And in order to acquire the US citizenship, you cannot just jump from being COFA to getting the US citizenship. There is something in between that needs to be done, and it is here. So anybody who has a non-immigrant visa, or who is COFA, or who is a US national, well, US national should not be there, sorry. But I just wanted to put it out there so that way, you know, it's the beginning of it. You would have to go to LPR, to a lawful permanent resident. And there are different ways to become a lawful permanent resident. Some I will mention, and again, this is going to be covered in depth in our next session. So you'll have to log in and just, you know, come with us again. But for today, the way to get a green card to become a lawful permanent resident, like, and I am talking like very generally here, you can have a family petition. So that means that somebody who is COFA, let's say, marries a US citizen or marries a US national. Then the US citizen spouse can fill out an application, a petition for the COFA. You'll get your green card, and after meeting certain requirements, later on, you can apply for citizenship. That's one pathway. The other pathway would be for an employer petition, meaning that your COFA and your employer, there's an employer that wants to petition you as a worker. So under certain conditions and meeting certain requirements, you can become a green card holder. There are other pathways, however, those are the most common ones. Another way, it's also, and this will also fall under the category of family petitions, your COFA and your child was born in the US. So your child, your US citizen child, can petition you as a parent, and then you become an LPR, and then down the line, you can apply for citizenship. Let that sink in. Let's try to think about our own situation, our own fact pattern. So am I COFA? Do I have dual citizenship? Do I have a US citizen child? Are my parents, am I married to a US citizen? And then you can kind of self-assess more or less where you are. And the next thing that you need to do is just join us for the next session. And then you will find out how to do that. And then if you think you qualify, maybe you can call the legal clinic and we can help you. I think that is like what I have for today. I know it's a lot of information and a lot of terms, and now you are like immigration students, and I'm open for any questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Narabelle. That was a very good on the surface scratch of what we need to know. I learned so much just by looking, listening, and seeing how what the differences are in the different statuses as immigrant populations here. And our situation when we refer to COFA or freely associated state citizens is one that is very complex, very complicated. And so thank you so much for taking us through that journey. Like Narabelle said, next series we will dive into more specifics on what processes you need to take to retain or obtain a LPR or legal permanent resident card, which is also known as a green card, or later on if you wish to choose to become a citizen. So, Narabelle, I do have a question. And just for the sake of the viewers, the reason why we kind of zoomed in on the Federated States of Micronesia today is because it is only recently, like Narabelle stated, that an executive order after the last special election where the people voted to allow for our citizens to become dual. Uh, the Republic of the Marshall Islands and the Republic of Palau, they've always been allowed to have dual citizenship. And so that's why today we're only focusing on FSM because we now need to get the word out. A lot of people are still unfamiliar or not aware of this new amendment to our convention. And so I really thank Narabelle and TLC for coming in to partner with us to share that information because they are the experts. And here at OER, we just want to create that bridge and pathway for all of you to learn about the immigration status. So the update is again that FSM is now allowed to have dual citizenship. Now that you heard about this webinar, maybe next time, which is November 8th, I believe. Let me just make sure. November 6th is our next session to discuss about LPR and U.S. citizenship pathway. Now, my question to you, Narabel, is what are some of the benefits of having a LPR or a U.S. citizenship?
That is an extremely important question. And actually, it is a question that requires a separate webinar. Oh, the reason that I say that is because, and this is not necessarily, not necessarily, this is not only for COFA. This is for LPRs in general, okay? So one of the benefits, of course, it is, and this is for, for FSM, is that you will retain all your rights from your nation. So you're not going to be a stranger there. That's the obvious benefit. But with regard to the US, it is good that COFA can come and go and that they can work. That is awesome. However, if you commit a crime, and believe me, sometimes are not, you don't have to kill anybody, by the way. You are at risk of getting deported to your nation. But more than that, if you get deported, you're going to be banned, prohibited from coming back to the US. So that is a risk factor for anybody who is not a US citizen. So now I'm hitting on a neurological point here, because people think that by having a green card, I'm safe. We are not safe just because you are a green card holder. Green card holders can also be deported. The only category that cannot be deported are US citizens. So that means that anybody who is not a citizen can be deported. And more than that, being in removal proceedings, meaning in that pathway of deportation, is not pretty at all. It can include being held in detention. And here in Hawaii, there is no separate facility for those who are charged with violations to the immigration law, which is not a criminal, which is administrative. You're going to be held in federal jail with the rest of the population. And we had a recent client from Latin America that was held there, and he was beaten very badly. So, you are putting yourself at risk of being deported, having to leave the country, being banned from coming back. And also you are at risk in, being put in detention while your removal proceedings, meaning your immigration court case, is solved. So again, this is just scratching the surface. This is very important. So important that I think that we can even have another section on how to avoid and which crimes are, you need to avoid. Basically, COFA, LPRs, visa holders. If you hear somebody raising their voice here, just go a mile away. Like, go far away, like far away. Yeah, it's like, no, don't. You can get into trouble. So please, and this is me personally begging you not to get in trouble, because the consequences are horrible. And if you're in detention, communication is extremely difficult. Sometimes not even your family knows that you're in there. So please, I think that, this is a very dramatic, but this is real. So that's one of the benefits.
Thank you so much. I think it's always important to talk about importance so people can really seriously put themselves in that situation and really think about it. Um, there are many kids that are now US born, but for parents, if you carry your FSM citizenship here and something happens, and like Narabel said, even misdemeanors in the compact are deportable. Even the smallest crime, you can get deported. And so because there is a lot of uncertainty, we really need to start thinking about all of this because if a parent who is from FSM is deported, then you cannot have any contact with your kids who will remain here in the United States because they are born US citizens. So I just wanted to mention that. And there are definitely a lot of things that we will be able to navigate with you, Narabel. So we want to thank you for being with us on this journey, for discovering some of the really important legal, uh, you know, status that us as COFA citizens should educate ourselves in, because this is actually a matter that we don't really think about until it's too late, you know? And so thank you for being with us. To those of you who are interested to come back and listen with us, the next series, November 6th at 10, and Narabelle will be back to talk about the different processes and the pathways. So if you have any questions, any of you viewers, if there are things that fall within this subject matter that you want to get clarification on, please do not hesitate to respond to this live. And we will send it to TLC for a response, and we will definitely be replying back to you on your message on Facebook. Or you can always contact me at OER, and my email address is Shanty, SHANTY, dot Asher, ASHER, at honolulu.gov, and we will go ahead and work directly with TLC on the questions. Again, our next series is going to be November 6th, so please come back and join us and also give us ideas on how we can work together to get this information out to our community because these are very important topics. With that said, I want to thank you to our beautiful, amazing attorney for joining us today and for really simplifying a lot of the things that are complicated to understand in a legal matter. So, Narabelle, thank you. I want to thank Max and Melissa. Shout out to our comms team for setting all of this up and for bearing with us as we try to start today's session a little delayed. So, mahalo, and you all have a wonderful day. Aloha. Bye.